Everybody knows that Marathon is not an easy game. And if you've been playing it, you've probably felt that firsthand. People enjoy it more the longer they play. And there is a reason for that. I played around 20 hours in the October playtest before jumping back in for the server slam. And even then, it took me another 10 hours to really feel it. Don't get me wrong, I already knew I would love this game based on my playtest experience, but it took a while until that clicked, and that's due to a lot of reasons. In this video, I want to talk about some of the lessons I learned during my time with Marathon, so you don't have to spend as much time learning things the hard way. I've spent thousands of hours in both Apex and Destiny, climbing ranked or completing the hardest challenges, constantly improving my decision making and learning from my mistakes. Not everyone has that background, and you definitely don't need it to enjoy this game. But I'll also share some tips for competitive multiplayer games in general that will help you feel more confident in your engagements. Because you will have those engagements, and the key to having fun in a game like Marathon is winning them. But let's start with the things I learned while playing. The first one might sound simple, maybe even obvious, but using your knife is something you should do way more often than you probably are. It makes no sound that could draw attention, it saves ammunition, and it is genuinely strong. You can and should kill basic units with your knife almost every time it makes sense. The attack has a decent range and actually pulls you toward the enemy when it connects. It feels great to use, and I've even seen someone wipe a full squad with only a knife. So don't underestimate this tool. Next up, and this one is important, whenever you start engaging with UESC units of any type, never underestimate them. Even with a full squad. If you see a teammate start fighting them, assist them. Don't think like, he's got this. They are no joke. What I love about them is that they fight like real players. I mean that literally. They sneak up on you, they flank, they bait you. I could never fully predict what they do next. One time I was starting a guarded exfil where you have to kill a group of UESC units before you can leave, and I was in a solid position, feeling confident. Then I got shot from a completely different angle I wasn't expecting at all. I was sure it was an enemy runner, but it wasn't. It was a UESC unit that had quietly repositioned and taken an angle from a distance. Sometimes they will rush you and try to overwhelm you entirely. And one more thing worth knowing. If you engage with one unit, every surrounding unit will likely be alerted. They are robots. They share information. So even when you think you're only dealing with one robot, act like you're dealing with all of them. Speaking of things that want to kill you, it's not just enemy players and UESC units you need to worry about. Everything on Tau Ceti is out to get you, including the environment itself. Little spiders, poisonous plants. They won't be the main reason you die, but they will chip away some of your health and force you to use healing resources you'd rather save for something more threatening. It took me a while to realize that Bungie intentionally designed the natural environment so you are never truly safe. There could be a poisonous plant around any corner, or a spider nest hidden in the bushes. Sometimes enemy runners trigger a spider nest but don't clean it up. And that little spider is just sitting there, waiting for you to drop down on them at the worst possible moment. My advice: avoid stepping into terrain unless you absolutely need to. Now let's talk about something that I think is one of the most important things to understand early on. How Marathon handles loot progression. I don't have a huge background in extraction shooters, maybe around 100 hours of Arc Raiders, and coming in, my instinct was to extract once I felt stacked. From what I've learned, that's not something you should do in Marathon. The longer the round goes, the better the loot gets. Events start happening, harder enemy types spawn, and the rewards scale up significantly. So even if you've already won a fight or two and feel loaded, stay. Engage with the events. That's where the good stuff comes from. And if you happen to be the last team standing, you get to experience those events and boss fights without worrying about being third party. That's a genuinely exciting dynamic. You might wipe a squad, get fully stacked, and then take on a boss or a rare event that rewards you even further. I love that idea, and I think it's one of the things that make Marathon feel very special. Something else that's easy to miss, and I say this because I missed it myself for a while, is how Smart Heal actually works. It's explained in the tutorial, but I still wasn't using it properly. Smart Heal doesn't just select the best healing item when you're hurt, it also handles consumables that remove negative status effects. Some of those effects have debuffs that last for minutes, and early on you might not even know which consumable counters which effect. Smart Heal handles that for you automatically, so anytime you have a negative status effect, just activate Smart Heal and you will immediately see whether you have something in your backpack that clears it or not. Simple, but easy to overlook. While we're on the topic of things the game doesn't explain very well, let's talk about the weapon bench. Marathon's UI will feel overwhelming at first. That's almost guaranteed. I don't think it's bad, it's just complex, and it takes time to get used to. Bungie has already acknowledged that they are continuing to improve it, and that's good to hear. The thing that took me the longest to figure out was managing weapon attachment. For a while I was just hovering over every item in my inventory, hoping to see a mod slot light up. There is a much better way. Hover over the weapon and press V on your keyboard, or the corresponding button on controller. You get a full breakdown of the weapon on the left, and on the right side you can basically craft your weapon. You can see only the mods that can be put on the weapon and can directly attach them from there. It completely changed how I approach building a loadout. There could definitely be a better way of explaining that system, but once you know it's there, it's a game changer. So those are the marathon specific things I picked up, but before we wrap up, I want to share a few things that go beyond the game itself. Mindset and habits that will genuinely make your start easier, no matter what your experience level is. The first one is settings, and I can't emphasize this enough. Especially if you're playing on mouse and keyboard, take time to go through every keybind and make it feel right. The last thing you want is to be in an intense situation and not know which button to press. Adjust things to match what feels familiar from other games. Same goes for controller. Don't just accept the defaults. It sounds obvious, but most people won't do this when they first start playing. Marathon is not a game you just drop into and immediately have the time of your life. Take the time to dial in your settings, especially your sensitivity. Read item descriptions, and get comfortable with the UI before expecting things to click. Your goal is to get into a flow state, and that won't happen when you're fighting your own keybinds every time something intense goes down. Once your settings feel right, there is one more thing I want you to keep in mind. Especially in Marathon, where dying means losing your gear. Don't play scared. The key to having fun is confidence. And confidence only comes from experience. You get experience by making mistakes. Everyone starts somewhere. It doesn't matter if you play 8 hours a week or 80. As long as you find joy in learning from your mistakes and seeing your own progress, you will get better. And things will start to feel more natural. So when you get killed on Tau Ceti, whether by PvE or PvP, ask yourself, what could I have done differently? Because there is almost always something. Recording your gameplay and watching it back is one of the easiest ways to spot things you'd never notice in the moment. And don't worry about losing your gear, especially in a game like Marathon, where you are progressing through the factions which let you unlock perks that you don't lose until the season ends. You get stronger just by playing. Dying is part of the process. And even if you've lost everything, there are several ways to play the game anyways. May it be as Rook or with the sponsored kits. The most satisfying way to get better gear is killing enemy runners anyway. And that's exactly the goal. There is obviously a lot more to improving in this game than what I can fit into one video. To be more successful and confident in your engagements, it's not just about the things I talked about. It's about mindset and constantly looking for what you can do better. You can expect more content on that, and you can watch me go through the same process live on stream. For additional reading right now, I'd recommend you checking out 2 posts on X. One from game director Joe Ziegler and one from the official Marathon account. Both have useful information worth looking at. The links are in the description, or you can just pause this video. If this video helped, share it with the people you are playing with. Though I recommend you spending a lot of time in solo queue early on. It forces you to develop skills faster than playing with a full squad does. If you are looking for teammates or just want to be part of a community that takes games like this seriously, the link to my Discord is in the description. And if you want to keep improving, subscribing to the channel is probably a good idea. I will be not only, but also putting out educational marathon content on a regular basis, focused on helping players that actually want to get better. You can also always come by a live stream and ask me something directly. I genuinely enjoy helping. So I think that's a wrap, and I hope you and me, we all have a good time on Tau City. I'm out.